Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP TV 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, Jack Ruland in Skycam 16, meteorologist Tom Clark with his backyard forecast, and Tim Carlson Sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Good evening. A vote is going on right now in Washington on raising the speed limit to 65.
It was back in 1974 during the gasoline crunch when driving 55 became the law. But there's a move to raise the speed limit on certain sections of interstate highways. What you're looking at right now are live pictures via satellite from Capitol Hill in Washington, where the House is voting right now on that controversial speed limit bill. Some say the limit should be raised because 55 is not enforced anyway. Others say driving 55 saves lives. There you can see how the vote is going. Now, if the House okays raising the speed limit, the bill goes to the Senate, which earlier this month approved the higher speed. The President would also have to okay it. We'll come back to the voting if anything changes in the next few minutes. Now, if all of that does happen, it does not mean you could drive 65 on all interstate highways in all states. It would be up to individual states to decide whether to raise the speed limit and on which roads. PennDOT tells Newswatch 16 it does not want the speed limit raised anywhere in Pennsylvania. But it's up to our state lawmakers to decide if 65 should be allowed. Only interstates in urban areas with populations under 50,000 could even be considered for a change.
Even though we think most of our area is rural, a lot of our interstates cut through counties that have a population higher than 50,000 people. Under the bill, those counties are considered urbanized, and any interstate cutting through those counties would have to keep the 55 miles per hour speed limit. That means that only small sections of our interstates could qualify to return to 65 miles per hour if it's passed. Newswatch 16 talked with 7 state lawmakers in those areas where the speed limit could be raised. 4 say no to returning to 65. 1 says yes to 65 for cars only. And 2 are in favor of raising the speed limit to 65 for cars and trucks.
Sometimes it almost seems like a battle between the cars and the trucks, jockeying for the lead on the highway. Some truckers think it's the car driver's eagerness to exceed a restrictive speed limit. In other words, they say 55 miles per hour can be hazardous.
What people don't realize, we've got 80,000 pounds gross. We cannot stop it.
Well, if that's happening now at 55, what do you think is going to happen at 65?
At 65, we can maintain the speed limit because they will be going there.
He's not the only trucker who thinks 65 miles per hour is a speed more people would be content to drive.
55 miles an hour just puts me to sleep, and I don't think that's, and except, well, I run about 62. I'll tell anybody in the whole world that. I run 62 miles an hour all the time.
But driving safety is not the only concern truckers have. Truckers I talk to say this whole speed limit issue boils down to one thing for them, and that's money. They say if they could legally go 65 miles per hour, they'd all be better off.
I love it. I wish they'd hurry up and do it.
Why?
They make better time with the loads, and people are more satisfied and stuff. Make a little more money is all I'm worried about.
Truckers I talk to have been at their jobs long enough to remember what it was like working with the old speed limit. They say raising the limit again can't come too soon. Melissa Sander, Newswatch 16, Columbia County.
There's another group of people who see many accidents either on the highways or a little later in a hospital emergency room. Some medical people tell us a higher speed limit, especially where there's a variety of highway speeds, will mean more accident victims.
Over the years, when it was 65, we had a lot more accidents up on 81 and all around the area. Since they dropped it down, there's less accidents on 81 as a paramedic, as a member of the volunteer ambulance crew.
Secondary to the wearing of seat belts or restraining shoulder restraints and so forth, the speed limit is the secondary reasons for injuries to the human body.
And as we showed you moments ago, the vote to raise the interstate speed limit to 65 is now going on. There's less than 2 minutes left of this vote in Washington from the Capitol. These are live pictures via satellite from Washington. And as soon as the final vote is in, we will tell you exactly what it is. A close vote in Washington on the speed limit right now.
Very close. When Newswatch 16 continues, people in Lock Haven keeping their fingers crossed for new jobs.
Plus, later on, the most popular names in the maternity ward. We'll have the parents' choice.
I see you really like my bohemian hard bread, right? But did you know I bake it with whole grains and other good old-fashioned ingredients? But I never use artificial preservatives. You know that too, huh? I could go on with so many different varieties. Speak to me. You do like my Bohemian half, don't you?
Grandpa Stroman, that's what I've been trying to tell you.
Bohemian half. I make sure the goodness is baked in.
You are about to witness a most extraordinary event in the history of tea drinking. Look closely. Do you see it? This is new Salada sweetened tea. The very first tea bag that combines a choice blend of fine orange pekoe teas with just the right touch of NutraSweet. For a perfectly sweetened cup of tea every time, with no sugar and just one little calorie.
That's a lot of tea.
That's new Salada sweetened tea, with perfect sweetness in every bag.
Well, let's take a look now at exactly what happened to that final vote. The final vote is in from Washington. We'll be bringing it to you in just a few seconds. Actually, there's a few seconds left in that. There it is right there. The time remaining, nothing. And the total votes right now, 209 to change the speed limits on the rural sections of the interstates. Now it's up to 211. 211 to 200, still a very close vote. Evidently, some of the abstainers are still coming in. They say there's no time remaining, but the vote is still being changed. It looks as though it is passing right now. It's 214 to 200, 214 for changing it to 65 miles per hour. We're not sure if it's final, however, and we'll let you know in just a few moments.
A new report card is out on the economies of states across the country. For Pennsylvania, good grades in 3 categories, but an F in the 4th. The study was released by a non-profit research group. Now, in the category of performance, our state gets a B. That grade is for employment growth, income, and quality of jobs and life. In the category capacity, we score an A. Now, that's human and capital resources, highways, utilities, recreation, culture, things to attract and keep talent in our state. Pennsylvania also gets an A in the policy category. That includes effectiveness of government and regulation, how we improve education and research, and how our state helps communities in need. But the bad news, when it comes to the category vitality, we fail. For how competitive existing businesses are and our state's ability to start up new business, we get an F. Officials have taken the next step in bringing that baseball stadium to Lackawanna County.
Newswatch 16's Bob Reynolds is live now in Scranton in an important contract information about a contract that was awarded this afternoon to a Dunmore company. Bob?
Well, Nolan and Karen, the action came here at the Lackawanna County Courthouse Annex building by the County Stadium Authority late this afternoon. And you know, despite all the legal hassles concerning the ownership of the AAA Red Barons baseball team, which is presently operated in Maine, the County Stadium Authority is pushing ahead with plans for a stadium to be built at Montage. This is where the baseball stadium will go on Montage Mountain. This afternoon, the Lackawanna County Stadium Authority awarded a contract for nearly $1 million to a Dunmore firm. That money will go for clearing more land, installing utilities, and in essence, getting everything ready for the construction of the actual stadium.
We're very happy to take this action today because it's forward movement. We've had problems. The public knows we've had problems, but the stadium's going to be built, and it's going to be worthwhile. So all the problems will get solved, and we're going to get there.
Now, what isn't clear right now is the actual size of the stadium. That's because Lackawanna County officials aren't really sure how much state grant money they're going to receive. And until they're sure of that figure, we really won't know how big that baseball stadium will be. Bob Reynolds, Newswatch 16 with a live Instacam report in Scranton. Nolan?
A brand new parent in Pennsylvania could take up to 4 months of leave from his or her job if a bill introduced at the state capitol today passes. Luzerne County Representative Kevin Blom's bill proposes that either parent could take a leave at no pay, but the employer would have to continue their job benefits and must hold the job for that parent for the period that he or she is off of work. Blom's bill would also stop employers from firing or withholding promotions from women who become pregnant. Well, the Weather Watch is next with our chief meteorologist, Tom Clark.
And another gorgeous day, Tom.
Magnificent. The crocus are blooming.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. Spring is here already. Just a couple more days.
And Tom has spring fever. Right?
Getting a little hot. When we come back, I'll tell you just how dry it's been and how much longer it should stay dry. Now, you're watching Newswatch 16 on WNEP TV. We're proud to serve Light Street and all of Columbia County.
Jessica's having a problem, Mr. Spence. I'm Jarrett. He's Jeffrey. She's Jessica. You remember how Jarrett used to have those skin rashes?
AccuFace says Johnny had the rash.
Oh, that's right. Do you remember what we used for the itching?
Sure. AccuFace remembers everything.
You're amazing. Isn't he amazing, Jeffrey? I'm Karen. He's amazing.
He's Jeffrey.
AccuFace, just one more reason Faze is not your average drugstore.
I wasn't even in the market for a new car when I drove this Pontiac. Then I found that, depending on the Pontiac I got, I could get up to $1,200 back to pocket or use as a down payment. Or I could get 3.9% GMAC financing. Now I ask you, could you pass up Pontiac excitement with a choice of savings like that? Neither could I.
Get 3.9% financing or cash back now at your Pontiac Pay Centers.
Look for the SureSave stamp of approval, and you'll find great weekly specials like these.
Friskies Buffet Cat Food, 6-ounce can, 3 for $1. Maxwell House Master Blend Coffee, 13-ounce can, $1.89. Boneless Bottom Round Roast, $1.59 a pound. And Grade A Fresh Hen Turkeys, 69 cents a pound.
When you want the very best, look for SureSave.
Look for the SureSave stamp of approval at a locally owned supermarket near you.
Well, it's a long shot, but there are hopes tonight that hundreds of new jobs might be coming to Lock Haven. There's a chance that a California firm that plans to introduce a lightweight plastic plane might be making those planes in that Clinton County town. Senator John Heinz says he's trying to work out a deal. Newswatch 16's Dan Fiorucci reports if Heinz succeeds, it'll be a big boost to a community caught in an aviation tailspin.
For more than 4.5 decades, Lock Haven was the building place for the Piper Cub, the airplane that brought flying to the public. In 1984, with private plane sales sagging, Piper moved its operation to Florida, and this area lost hundreds of jobs.
Losing Piper here was tragic when you realize that at some point in time, there were 2,400 employees at that plant.
Since Piper left, Taylor Aircraft moved into Lock Haven, but recently Taylor declared bankruptcy and only a small workforce remains. Right now, some 400,000 square feet of the old Piper plant sits idle. That's why the prospect of Avtech Aviation moving in here with 900 new jobs has Clinton County echoing with excitement.
I think it'd be terrific if Piper, the plant, would take up again with something in there. It's just sitting idle. There's so many people laid off in the area, and it would really help.
If they wanted us to, the commissioners would stand on their head on the airport runway to get that industry.
No one in Lock Haven is standing on his head yet, but economic incentives are being worked out to try to lure Avtech. With the 50th anniversary of the Piper Cub coming up, there'd be no better way to celebrate than to land almost 1,000 new jobs.
There we go.
Dan Fiorucci, Newswatch 16, Lock Haven.
We now have the final vote of the House on raising the speed limit to 65. By only 11 votes, the House has voted yes. It wants to raise the speed limit from 55 to 65. The exact totals, 217 to 206. Now, of course, this bill has to go back to the Senate, which already approved the higher speed limit, and the President has to sign it. Then it's up to individual states to decide whether they want the 65 speed limit. And there are restrictions, of course. It's only interstates in rural areas with populations under 50,000. But again, by only 11 votes, a very close vote, the House has voted to raise the speed limit to 65.
Well, Tom takes his time, whether he's on the interstates or not, of course, to get the right forecast for our area. Tom, how is it out there tonight?
Not bad, Nolan. Worth driving to work for when we forecast weather like we have all this week. A beautiful evening out back, clear skies, and in our backyard, since the 1st of February, there's been only 1 inch of precipitation, and that is only 30% of normal. And I don't see any real chance of having any more rain or snow until the middle of next week. Now, let's begin in Carbon County in Bowmanstown, where Gloria Ferry tells me 48 at her place now. Karen Wolf in McElhatton, Clinton County, checks in with 54. And Ralph Smith in Tyler Hill tells me 42 degrees. Just a few cirrus clouds over the central counties of Pennsylvania at this hour. And there's a view today down on the horse farm in Columbia County near Buckhorn. Out back now we have a temp of 44. Humidity low again today, 32%. The wind from the north at 10 miles per hour. The barometer at 30.04 and falling. High here today, 50 degrees. 28 this morning, 73. Back in 1927, and we topped off in the mid-50s 1 year ago. Putting the satellite view into motion and see the clouds sweeping up towards Pennsylvania. The rain area with those clouds is still hundreds of miles away from the state. It'll pass by south of the Commonwealth tomorrow and on Friday. So we should stay dry, and I'm going to show you why. Changing the view, Pennsylvania up here in the upper right. Here's the Atlantic Ocean out this way, and it looks as though this storm system, you can see the swirl of clouds off New England, is just going to remain in position, if not maybe move a little bit slightly to the west. And so that is going to maintain the northerly steering currents and maybe bring just a few of these patchy clouds over eastern Pennsylvania as we head into Friday, but it's going to keep us dry, and again, it's going to prevent any big warm-up for the next few days. For tonight, though, it's going to stay clear once again. We'll have some moonshine after midnight and just some high clouds in the central counties. Temperatures in the mid to upper 20s tonight, about 30 in Cressona, 27 in Light Street, a northeast breeze overnight at 10 or less. And the sunrise time for tomorrow, 6:09. Sunsets at 6:14. The spring equinox occurs this Friday evening at 10:52. Clear tonight, 29 out back. Sunshine again tomorrow, about where it was today, 52. Partly cloudy on Friday, and we should be close to 50 into Saturday, partly cloudy, and it should stay dry through Sunday. Some of the golf courses opening up this week. It's been that nice.
My husband knows.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Tim Carlson is next on the Sports Watch with tonight's lineup for area high school basketball teams in the state playoffs.
Plus the Mets in spring training. Tim talks with all-star catcher Gary Carter.
No other taste attracts so much attention. Diet Pepsi.
You gotta be the most refreshing invention.
See that smile, see that look. Diet Pepsi is all it took. No other taste attracts so much attention.
Name this Diet Cola that over 7 million Diet Coke drinkers have reached for, and you could win $1 million.
Back from spring training, it's Tim Carlson. Welcome home.
Welcome home, Tim.
But
Nice
you
to have you
have a better tan than I do. What's
Well,
going
you were
on
working.
here? Okay. Yeah, I was, Karen, as a matter of fact. No, Met fans, I didn't forget about visiting your team's training camp while I was in Florida. I guess because they're the world champs, you could say I saved the best for last. You could say that, but I won't. The Mets have serious plans about being the first team since the Yankees in '77 and '78 to win back-to-back World Series. But if their plans are to succeed, catcher Gary Carter will have to once again emerge as the team leader.
What's the best way to describe Gary Carter's importance to the Mets in their World Championship season? Well, how about words from a popular song? You're my soul and my heart's inspiration. Well, sure, he hit just .255, his lowest in 5 years, and he missed 14 games with a bad thumb. But Carter did lead the team with 105 RBIs and nailed 24 home run balls. But most importantly, he was the cheerleader, the king of the hugs, kisses, and high tens. He got the guys fired up. And he set a good example by leading the club in the league with 16 game-winning RBIs. He was Mr. Clutch at the plate and behind it, too.
Sure, most of the season you will be seeing Gary Carter wearing the catcher's mitt and behind the plate, but don't be surprised if you see him with another kind of mitt on, over there at first base and maybe in the outfield.
Why the possible shifting? Well, at 33, Carter's knees have catcheritis. They're tired from the squatting over the past 12 years in the major leagues, but Carter's playing that down.
My knees are actually in better shape than they have been in the past couple of years, so I don't see any reason why I shouldn't be able to catch 125, 135 games, something like that. And I'm sure he'll play me some other positions, so I'm going to be in there as often as he has my name in the lineup. I'll be there.
Now, we did see you taking some practice at first base over at the Phillies camp the other day.
Oh, yeah, well, I always mix a few ground balls in here and there and all. I just try to, you know, keep myself available whenever necessary.
Certainly, Gary is still healthy and very strong, and he's capable of catching a lot of games during the year. You know, sometime I'll play him at first, but that's really about the only position I'll put him at.
It'll be interesting to see just how many games Carter doesn't catch, considering if and when he plays first base, Keith Hernandez will have to sit out. And there's really no room in the outfield to replace Dykstra, McReynolds, or Strawberry. But I'm sure manager Johnson will work something out.
Tonight on the update, we'll talk with the Mets center fielder Lenny Dykstra. You know, it's nice to come back from Florida to find that so many area high school basketball teams are still in the hunt for a state championship. Several games on the schedule tonight. Let's see who's playing where and when. In the boys class Quad A, Abington will take on Williamsport. It'll be Hazleton taking on Deera. Also in the boys class AA, GAR meets Holy Name. Wyalusing takes on Columbia, and Warrior Run meets Bristol. In the girls class AAA, North Schuylkill and Montrose, Dunmore and Phoenixville. Allentown Central Catholic takes on Conestoga Valley. Scranton Tech meets Daniel Boone. And in the girls A, Elkland and Seton Catholic. Forest City versus Greenwood, Notre Dame against Mansfield, and Marion Catholic takes on Montgomery. And finally today, I just want to remind you that we will be doing the Williamsport Bills. The brand new AA team in the Eastern League will be doing their very first game, broadcasting it live here on Channel 16 when they take on the Pittsfield Cubs. Saturday, April 11th, you'll see that live and exclusively here on Channel 16, and we're proud to do that.
Yeah,
that is
good job.
More about that tonight.
Okay,
see you
thanks,
later.
Jim. When Newswatch 16 continues, the fashionable names in the maternity ward.
What the parents are picking nationwide and what some area parents say about the most popular names.
Today, a refresher course in sore throat. There's the one from smoking, the dry, tickly kind, the burning sore throat. Fortunately, there's great-tasting Luden's cough drops. Luden's help replace pain with pleasure. They quickly dissolve to coat irritated, inflamed tissue with soothing, cooling relief. So for minor sore throat problems, get major relief from Luden's.
Who said an all-electric home is expensive?
Not me. My appliances don't cost much to run. They're energy efficient.
Hey, it wasn't me.
I didn't say it. We live in a four-star home, so we get PP&O's lowest electric rate. Our electric bills average less than $100 a month, and that includes the heat, the hot water, and everything else. For more information on the PP&O four-star home, call 1-800-334-3738.
Finally, a baby food company has released its top 10 list of names for this year. And Newswatch 16's Mark Davis reports some parents are glad they picked names not in that top 10.
The nursery at Nesbitt Hospital in Kingston. About 200 babies a month are born here, and that means 200 names. Some the same, others different. The favorite name nationwide for the boys was Matthew. For the girls, Jessica. More than 2,500 parents were interviewed as they called a hotline for baby care information. Alicia K. Wilson was born only a few hours before we saw her and talked with Mother Kathy, who was glad her daughter's name was not on the favorite name list.
Well, for me, yeah, I wouldn't like to have one of the 10 most common named children, you know, in the country, but, I mean, I'm not typical anyway.
Erica Ann Wilbur was enjoying her second day of life as she was wheeled in to see her mother, Ellen, who said Mom and Dad had a little trouble picking out a name.
And we decided that Erica was the only one that we had in common. The other thing, too, is my name starts with E, and my husband's name is Richard, and he goes by Rick. So it's sort of a little bit, it takes after his name a little bit, and it takes after my name a little bit with the initial.
This is Amy and Karen, the Goldsworthy twins. Now, they're one of two sets of twins currently here at Nesbitt Hospital in Kingston. But don't ask me which one is which because, frankly, I don't know. Now, in the 30-plus years since Gerber started doing these most popular baby studies, a lot of things have changed. But one thing hasn't changed, and that is that there are very few things in this life as beautiful as a newborn baby. Mark Davis, Newswatch 16 at Nesbitt Hospital in Kingston.
Looks mighty natural, Mark. That's Newswatch 16 for Wednesday.
Enjoy your evening.